Hey there YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Lion Collectibles. Today is a really big day for me. I feel like it's monumental in my card collecting journey. It is my first PSA submission. For those that don't know, PSA is a grading card company. People are collecting great sports cards, Pokemon, whatever. When you go and send them into a company to get them graded, the values are just a lot higher and you can sell them for a lot more, right? So grading. These companies are basically just checking out the condition of your card. How good of condition is it? They base that based off of 4 metrics. So the 4 metrics are surface of the card, front and back. Are there any issues? Are there any dings? Is it smooth? Is it beautiful? Corners, top right, bottom left. Are the corners sharp? Are they rounded? Are they scuffed? Is there whitening on them? Whitening is kind of the common card damage that people have on their cards. Edges, front, left, right, top, bottom edges. Same thing as the corners. Are they crisp? Is there any issues? Is there any whitening? Whatever that may be. And then the fourth thing, the one that I've had the hardest time with, is centering. So are they centered? I bought this little tool. It's got I know you can't even see it. Oh, there you go. You can see it a little better on my hand. It's got like a grid on it. I am either not smart enough to use this or not patient enough, probably both. The centering of the card, if you don't know, they print like big pages out with the card that they're going to do, and then they cut them with dies. And so cards just sometimes they're off-centered. They're not like perfectly centered. To me, it's the hardest thing to kind of do with the naked eye, but that's what I'm kind of doing here. What I did was I went through my inventory and I picked out like 22 cards that have good values that I found on eBay for PSA 10s, which is the top. But then also had some value for PSA 9s, PSA 8s, right? So sending these cards in, they're $30 per card to be graded. I'm going to send 10 of them in. What I focused on was surface, corners, and edges. I'll show you some of the cards. We'll talk through them. And then I'll share some of the prices that I found with them. And in the end, we'll narrow them down to 10 that we're going to send in. As far as pricings, what I tried to do was look up eBay auctions with bids, right? So that was one of the first things that was a challenge for me in the beginning when I was looking up values. There's a lot of what's called buy nows on eBay. It just shows a price. But then there's auctions, which I think are probably more realistic. You'll just see some high sales prices in the buy now category, and then really recent to those, you'll see an auction that goes for 50%, 30% lower, whatever it may be, right? So it doesn't really make a ton of sense why someone would buy now at a much higher price rather than bid on it and get it at much lower. So I'm pretty sure the auctions are the best way to go. So focus on auction sales, try to do it, closest to the current time period, the highest sale. Not perfect on all of them, obviously, but kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at. So let's go ahead and dive into it, and we'll start checking out the cards. So first cards that we're going to go through are some football cards. So first card that I got here to check out is Joe Montana. This is a 1983 Topps Joe Montana card. Joe Montana is one of the all-time greats. Definitely an all-time great San Francisco 49er. Unfortunately, a few of my buddies are Niners fans, but it's been good to watch them kind of have a rough season so far. He set the record for most consecutive games with 300 passing yards with 5. He's a 4-time Super Bowl champion, one of the all-time greats. PSA 10 sold for $855, actually a long time ago, December of 2021. So quite some time ago. I've seen PSA 9s for $60, PSA 8s for $20. So there's some good value on this card. Main thing with this, I feel like this card's corners are really nice, like really sharp, no issues. I think the centering's nice too, maybe a little bit off-center. Overall, I think it's a really beautiful card. The main issue here, if you take a look, there's a little bit of these black marks here. There's also one here in the middle of the 4. I didn't see these on any PSA 10s that I found, and so I was confused. But if you look, when I fold it down here in the light, it's perfect surface. Like there's no scratches or like someone hit it with a black mark. So I just don't know if it's a printing issue and maybe something that'll be okay. But obviously, I have some concerns with the surface. Next, I was a little surprised to see this one in my dad's inventory just because it's newer. This is a Terrell Owens rookie card when he was with the Niners. Terrell Owens, really kind of exciting wide receiver during his time, had a lot of controversy during his time. He was reality TV show star, but among other things, he was a great football player. He was a 6-time Pro Bowler, led the league in touchdown during 3 seasons. He was a Cowboy at one point in time, so I had some love for him. My favorite was him getting teary-eyed on an interview talking about how Tony Romo was his quarterback. There was some controversy at the time. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he got emotional, and so that was something I've always remembered of him. PSA 10s in this card. They go for $937. I saw one in July for 17 bids. PSA 9s, $110. PSA 8s for $15. Overall, this card is in great shape. I really love the red hollow that they put on this. But they do have like a little, they call them printing lines. There's like a little line right here. It's kind of hard to see in the camera. You can see a little bit of fraying here on the bottom edge. Not quite sure exactly what that is. It doesn't look to be really, really bad, but probably not a 10. On the back, the card appears to be in pretty good shape. So overall, I think, surface-wise, it'd get either a 9 or a 10. Printing marks are kind of common. But I think the edges would probably get lower than a 10. And so, those would be the concerns when sending this one in. Next, we're going to move over to baseball players. I got Cal Ripken Jr. here. Cal Ripken Jr., 1985 Topps Cal Ripken Jr. Cal Ripken Jr. had a bunch of accolades. He was a great baseball player, 19-time All-Star, World Series champion, Gold Glove winner, Silver Slugger, all kinds of accolades. Great player. Most known for his Iron Man record that he set, or they call him the Iron Man. Most consecutive games played with 2,632. So, guy that holds a big record. This was an older card in the set, so, I'm like, man, I really need to take a look at this. So, his card's great. Main issue with his card, though, edges look nice and crisp. Sides look good. Centering looks pretty good to me. The main issue is this little red dot here. There's this one, and there's another little printing one up here as well. Again, surface is perfect. If you scroll over it, perfect surface, but it's a printing issue, and I just don't know how that's going to be viewed. Overall, though, I think this card looks really, really nice, but it does have this little mark here in the middle of the back. I don't really know what happened. Again, the surface doesn't look too damaged or anything like that, but it looks like it got a mark here. So that's one that's probably going to disqualify it. Great card. I think had some cool values. Went for $280 in September. With 15 bids. I've seen one as high as $675 in May with 58 bids. 85 for PSA 9, 20 for PSA 10. So I think it's a great card. Still looks good. Just not sure what this little mark on the back is going to do to it. So, Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson was an absolute manimal when he played both baseball and football. He's actually the only athlete ever to be an all-star in baseball and make the Pro Bowl in the NFL. This is his Provision Fleer 1991 card. Really cool kind of depiction of him. Obviously, it's a drawing. Kind of shows him with this little bionic arm like he's a machine. I saw these cards go for as high as $915 in August, with 27 bids. PSA 9, $45. PSA 8, $30. I think this card's in really, really good shape. The only issue is there's a little bit of whitening here on the top left. But overall, I feel like this card's in great shape. Surface appears to be great. No visible marks. The corners look to be in really great shape to me, with the exception of a little bit of whitening here, but the card is older. A little bit of whitening along the bottom. Do I think it's a PSA 10? Probably not. It's not pristine. PSA 9, though, I think there's an opportunity for it. Wouldn't be a huge money maker or anything like that. But I think a really cool card. Who knows? Maybe we'll get lucky, get a 10. Next, I got 2 different cards of Nolan Ryan, the all-time strikeout leader. I actually have 3 of this current card that we're taking a look at here. So this is his 1983 Topps Nolan Ryan card. The Express was his nickname. 27-year career, 8-time All-Star. He's a World Series champion, 11-time strikeout leader, holds 2 records. Main record is the most no-hitters, which is 7 no-hitters, which is his one of his big records. Other biggest record is he's the all-time strikeout leader. He has 5,714 strikeouts. Next closest guy is Randy Johnson, the big unit. He struck out 4,875 guys. So almost 1,000 strikeout difference between him and the next person closest. This one, I've seen PSA 10s go for $519 with 17 bids in July, $80 for a PSA 9. PSA 8s go for $45. I got 3 of them. The first one, right off the bat, we can kind of disqualify it. Because what you'll see here is that the card's in decent shape as far as surface. But right here in the bottom, you can just see pretty significant, like, rough corner that's showing the brown from the cardboard. That's not going to be one that we can send in. We have these 2, which are both in really, really great shape. I think this one is probably the best. I'm not quite sure, but crispy edges. Look, everything looks good here. Corners are come to a point. Centering, I think, looks good. Back of this card, I think perfect centering from what I can tell. But again, not quite sure. The third one, again, I think they're both pretty close in quality. I think this top corner is a little bit more rounded, though. Surface looks really, really good. So I think it's this top left corner just looks a little rounded to me. So if I was going to send one of these Nolan Ryans, it would probably be number 2. Before we move away from sports, I got some honorable mentions here. 2 UFC cards that let you guys know that I love UFC. 2 cards that I think are part of my early gems that I found in ripping some packs. Fortunately, I didn't rip these on camera. I try to kind of familiarize myself with the product before I rip them on camera. So of course, when the camera wasn't running, I pulled these. This is a 2021 Panini Chronicles Illusions Khamzat Chimaev pink parallel. So I think this card's pretty cool. Pink's not the toughest color, but I think it's a cool color. And it's newer, so I'm hoping that if I was to get it graded, it would be a 10. I saw one of these go for like $85. So I think this is one of those cool ones that maybe I'll send in, get it graded. If it's a 10, I can just literally hold it like a stock, watch how the value goes up when he wins or loses or whatever. Then I got Patty the Batty Pimblett. This was a really cool card I pulled the other day. It's numbered out of 99, 19 out of 99. This is a 2022 Chronicles, Panini Chronicles card of his. Scousers don't get knocked out, is what he says. I think he's from Liverpool. Just a really cool, exciting guy. Kind of has that Conor McGregor type vibe of feeling like, is this guy going to be something really special? So going to be really, really fun to watch him. I saw I believe a purple parallel. This is a green parallel that's numbered to 99 as well. Go for like $15. So not a ton, but this is just a bright young star that I think has a lot ahead of him. Now we'll jump into Pokemon. Here's the guy that everybody knows. Pikachu. Everybody knows Pikachu. I always thought this was a funny illustration of Pikachu, not the Pikachu that I was watching or playing with in Pokemon Yellow. He's kind of chubby, but super recognizable, iconic. Anything Pikachu's got some value to it. This is from the base set. So the very first set that they put out, it is shadowless. There's no shadow. I wish it was a first edition. If it was a first edition, it'd be worth a lot more. But it's just the base edition. Big difference or special thing on this card is the red cheek. So I had to do some research on this. Most of these, and even looking at my own, because I actually have a fair amount of these. Most of them have yellow cheeks. So these red cheek cards are supposed to be worth a little bit more. They were like a promo card that had like 20% hit rate to pick these up if you were to have one of these in a pack. So they are kind of valuable, at least from what I could tell. I saw a PSA 10 go for like $400 with 108 bids. The base shadowless like I have. First editions go for way more, but obviously don't have one. I think this card's in really, really good shape, like versus some of my others. There's a little bit of like a markup here, so the surface in the top right might not get perfect, but has rounded corners. That's what Pokemon cards do have. But overall, like, I just think the card's beautiful. It's got that red, a little bit something special there. Next one is a pride of mine, Scyther. So I do have a first edition Jungle Scyther. This is the second two sets that they put out were Jungle and Fossil after the original first base set. Scyther, I just thought he was always cool. I always felt like I was looking for Pokemon that had like a little bit more tough. There's kind of like the cute Pokemon, and then there's kind of, you know, the battle type looking Pokemon. And I just always thought Scyther was cool. He was always a guy that I wanted to catch in the Safari Zone, I believe, on Pokemon Red. The guy had swords for arms, so I just thought he was kind of cool, kind of tough looking. First edition, which definitely come with the highest values. I've seen a PSA 10 of this first edition go for $1,500 with 21 bids, but that was a long time ago. It was in October of last year, so a year ago. PSA 10 or PSA 8 or 9, pardon me, 250. It went for 250 with 41 bids in April, which seems pretty decent to me. I just feel like this guy is sexy. Big thing that a lot of my cards do have is, like I said, I was handling them a lot, so the foils get little scratches. It's kind of hard to see in here, but there are a few little scratches. For the most part, I just think this card is in great shape. You know, kind of some whitening and whatnot on the bottom here, but overall, it's one of the only first edition holos that I have from those early sets. I love this guy. Next one here was a Gyarados. Gyarados is a Sea Dragon Pokemon. The joke that I had for this video is that if you were prudent enough and smart enough to invest in this guy right here, a Magikarp, not a shiny Magikarp. This is kind of a new other card that I'll talk about at some other point in time because I think it's got some value. But if you were like myself and invested in a Magikarp, put him in the beginning of the battles to get some EXP, and then put in your other starting Pokemon. For me, it was either Charmander, Charmeleon at the time, to finish him off, to get that EXP. You were rewarded with a Sea Dragon relatively early in the game. I believe it was like level 19 or 20 that he evolves. It was just like I felt like a little hack that I had. So Gyarados here, really, really popular card. I think a lot of people have this one. It's not a first edition, it's a base set. This one does have some foil scratches. There's a pretty noticeable one right there. But overall, it's actually not in as bad a shape as I thought it might be. Corners and stuff look pretty good to me. Centering looks good to me. It's just these hollows. There's definitely a little bit of scratches on them. On the back, you know, some whitening here at the top. So, you know, definitely not expecting a 10 out of this. I think it's whether or not it can kind of score as a 9. That would be the big thing. There's just good values for this card. So PSA 10 of a Gyarados went for $535. PSA 9 for $140, and a PSA 8 I found for $100. So some scratches on this guy, but I think like the range that I saw might make him a good candidate. This one's not one that I'm super attached to, but on one of my first pulls from a Pokemon pack, I got this guy here that I thought like, oh man, this must be pretty cool. So this is this Pokemon is named Garchomp. This is a V card that came in, and it's a trainer gallery card from this set. So from Astral Radiance was the set that he came from. I saw one go for $192 at PSA 10 in August with 20 bids. And so this one I was really careful with right out of the pack. I think it probably has the best chance of any of these cards to be a PSA 10 just because I've tried to take really, really good care with it as soon as I can. So, I mean, looks really, really great. Brand new. I pulled this thing a few weeks ago. Gonna send this guy in. Behind looks perfect. So this guy's definitely going. So we're gonna finish up with Marvel. Marvel main cards that I'm picking out of are 1992 Marvel Masterpieces. These cards are really, really beautiful. All of them were portraits that were painted by an artist named Joe Jusko. So I got a Venom here. Venom, super popular, has his own movies, 2 of them with Tom Hardy. Didn't get the best reviews, but overall I thought it was a decent movie and a depiction of Venom, the anti-hero. One of the main villains for Spider-Man. Super cool card here, all red. I think like the corners look really, really good. Let me pull this guy out here. Really cool depiction of him. I think the corners are glossy. The surface of these cards is just like super perfect. Most of them have been kept in great shape. And the back looks really, really good. So Venom, I've seen him go for as high as $406 for a PSA 10 with 25 bids. $66 for PSA 9s. I got a Spider-Man. So Spidey, one of the most popular guys that you can have in the Marvel universe. Always a cool guy to root for. Kind of small, depicted as a younger Peter Parker with super strength, agility. I know everybody cried when he died in the Infinity Wars and Tony Stark's hands at the hands of Thanos. This card I think is really, really cool. I have some concerns about the top left corner. There's a little bit of whitening here, but if you notice, the picture has all of these kind of white webs. So I'm not quite sure if it's just a part of the art, because I did kind of look at it on other PSA 10s, and I think it's close. But overall, just a really, really great card of super iconic Marvel superhero. We got Sabertooth. Sabertooth, big hulking beast, was the main villain of my favorite guy, Wolverine. I just always thought this guy was cool. I don't know if it was the way my dad showed him to me or whatnot, but super cool villain that I just thought was great. I have not liked how they've depicted him in the movies. I don't think they've done a really great job of the essence of like what this picture is, of this like muscular, super aggressive looking guy. But overall, hoping that they maybe get him right at some point in time. He's gone for as high as $1,000, $1,025 in August with 19 bids for a PSA 10. PSA 9 goes for $34. I think this guy's in really, really great condition from what I've looked at him with. So yeah, I think we're probably going to send him in. My guy, Wolverine, from this set, I think it's a super cool depiction of him in one of his classic blue and yellow suits. I think his first suit was yellow, brown, and black. This was kind of, I believe, his first like X-Men suit. Doesn't have the mask on, which I like. Has that kind of big, wild hair looking. He looks pretty vicious, like an animal, like a Wolverine. So, favorite guy here. PSA 10 went for $560 in August. PSA 9, I saw one for $31. I think this guy, again, like most of them, I think he's in great shape. The front of this card is just really perfect. It has a little bit of a bow to it. Some of them did, but I heard that PSA doesn't really care about those. Corners, everything looks really, really good to me. He's got a little bit of whitening down here. But overall, I think he's great. I just want to have him graded, so I'm definitely going to send him in. All right, last but not least, I have two of these cards, but they're the big boys that come out of this set. They are Silver Surfer versus Thanos, and these were like 5 cards in the set that come with this like etched hologram. So super cool cards. Thanos, obviously the big bad, the most recognizable villain, at least right now, because of the Infinity Saga. Silver Surfer was depicted one time in a Marvel movie, but didn't really do well. He's got a really kind of interesting story. I have a whole binder of him. But this card is just cool, and I was kind of checking them out. The values on these things, they go for like a whopping $1,600. I saw one in August with 38 bids, so really big. PSA 9, $100. So this one looks really, really good. There's a little bit of an issue in the top right corner, but overall, I really like the way these cards look. The etched foil, it's hard to kind of see, but there's just like a texture here that just makes it seem super cool. And so I like this guy, but little issues on this one. I actually think number 2 is the better one to send. This one just looks almost like perfect to me. I just really love this guy. Corners are crispy, edges are great. Actually, this little edge doesn't look great. Maybe it was number 1 that I think is the better one. A little bit of something in the corner here, but the backs all look good. Beautiful, beautiful card. Looking forward to getting one of these kind of slabbed up and seeing what their value is. I think PSA turn times right now are like 90 days. They're not incredibly fast. So might be some time until we get them back, but as soon as we get them back, we'll kind of compare what they went for, and just compare and see how we did, see how I estimated. So first one that I'm definitely going to choose is Pikachu. So Pikachu's going to go. We're going to do Scyther. We're going to do the Gyarados. We are going to do the Garchomp. And then we are going to do the Bo Jackson and one of the Nolan Ryans. I believe it's this number 3 Nolan Ryan that I'm going to go with. And then we're going to finish it up with a couple of the Marvels. So gotta go with Venom, I think, is the first guy that I want to go with. The Venom one, I think, is just in really, really good shape. And then my 2 other guys, Wolverine and Wolverine is who I'm going to send. Wolverine, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 more. We're going to send one of the Thanoses, of course. Thanos is 9. And then I got to send in one of my UFCs. I'm going to send in Cosma. I think he's the most exciting guy right now in the UFC. So this is our submission that we're going to send in. I'll throw up the values again, what I think they might grade for. This spoiler, I'm hoping they all grade for at least 9s. But this is who we're going to send in. And I'll get back to you guys with how we do when they come back. Thanks again for joining me. I know this is a little bit of a long video. But yeah, hopefully we keep our fingers crossed and we can get back some really good grades. I'll see you guys on the next episode.